Every day, it's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Hope you all are well here on a Monday. It's been a crazy Monday weather-wise. Hope you are as safe as possible wherever you may be. Brewers baseball comes up tonight against the struggling San Francisco Giants West Coast trip. I heard Thunder and Mason talking about that towards the end of their show. We'll have the leadoff show tonight starting at 7:30. I'll be hosting that. And then after the last pitch, you make the switch to the Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show with Tim Allen and myself coming up tonight. I believe we are on until 1 a.m. This evening for postgame show tonight and tomorrow night, Charlie.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, it is what it is, man.
You don't sleep anyways, so I guess.
Definitely not sleeping in the next 2 nights. So that is definitely
nice comfy couch over there.
Not going to be a thing. I'll be right back in here tomorrow. No, I have kids to get off to sitters and stuff in the morning. I can't stay over like a single guy like Tommy was able to do with no other responsibilities. I can't do that. Okay, so coming up on today's show, guest free. Not because I didn't try. I tried a bunch. Just couldn't lock anybody up for today. So lots to get to on today's show. There is a really good piece in The Athletic. I'm trying to get the guy on that wrote that as well about the Badgers and their football team and the amount of money spent on said football team for the upcoming season that will potentially blow your socks off. We'll get into that coming up in the next segment. We'll have Packers training camp conversation throughout, including Dan Orlovsky this morning on First Take with some interesting thoughts on the Packers. We'll talk some more about the crew coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. Jeff Passan was doing like a Q&A and had a very, very, very disturbing answer about 2027 in Major League Baseball. So we'll dive into that and what that could mean at the trade deadline for the Brewers at 3:20. And Brandon Jennings feeling the Bucks this season. I mean, out in full force on social media defending this team over the weekend. So we'll get into that too in the 4 o'clock hour. So lots to get into. I want to start off with a post that I put up on X yesterday as Jacob Mizorowski was, was doing his thing, I guess you could say. And as he's doing his thing, 6 strikeouts in a row, 7 strikeouts in a row, and gets an out and strikes out another dude. As he's rolling along, I put up a post on X that said, as much as you appreciate Giannis as to, what he was to the Bucks, I just wonder if Miz could be that for the Brewers going forward. From the idea of a generational potential talent, right? I mean, I don't know if y'all would get down with that on Giannis, but I think it's pretty clear that Miz definitely is that in baseball right now from a pitching perspective. He's doing things we've never seen done from a starting pitcher ever. Doesn't matter how far back you want to go. You want to go back to the 30s, the 40s? I grant you, they didn't have technology back then with the radar gun and all that. So who knows really what they were throwing? Who knows?
I don't think it was 105.
But I mean, since like the radar gun came to be and you started keeping track of this stuff on TV and all of this, because they didn't even have that technology back for Nolan Ryan back in the day.
Yeah, but people claim he was throwing like this.
Well, people claim he threw one pitch 108. But again, they were using like a laser and all kinds of different stuff. I think NASA was involved with that whole deal. And they're trying to see how hard he threw. But either way, in this era, at least of what we've seen, you're not seeing a dude throw 100 miles an hour for an entire game like he does. I mean, every fastball plus 100 miles an hour, averaging like 102 miles an hour, almost 103 miles an hour for that game yesterday. Then he's dropping hammer curveballs on dudes. And I mean, he was unfreaking believable. Now, at the same time, you take a guy like Giannis, And what he was able to do in his tenure in the NBA, he didn't have the body of a Shaq, a big wide body that lumbered down the floor. It looked kind of more like Kevin Garnett, right? Just long, strong type deal, and was able to block shots, get down the court in like 4 or 5 strides, pass the ball relatively well, handle the ball relatively well for his size, did everything. And that's why they called him the Greek Freak. They were like, holy crap, look at this dude. They had to create the wall, as Giannis likes to say, in order to stop him. Because as Giannis himself has pointed out, nobody one-on-one is stopping me. Nobody is stopping me one-on-one. You're going to have to build a wall to stop me. Fine. I put that up yesterday on X and got a bunch of responses. So I want to bring it to you. And I can read some of the responses from X that I got yesterday on the post as well as we go. But do you think Miz can be to the Brewers what Giannis was to the Bucks? Nicolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. Of course, do not forget, you can also check us out on X, YouTube, Instagram Live, all at WI Sports Radio. Again, WI Sports Radio. And, of course, on the Fan Milwaukee Facebook page as well. See Sparky Pfeiffer here. Charlie Usen producing. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. On a Monday, I'm going to say yes. Yes, I think he can. Now, is there a caveat to this? Sure. He's got to stay healthy, right? I mean, if he ends up hurt 3 of the next 5 years or something crazy like that, well, then that takes this completely out of consideration. Hunter Green was throwing really hard too, and then he got hurt, right? And missed a good portion of this season. By the way, I saw Bowden of The Athletic, Jim Bowden of The Athletic, former GM, suggest that the Reds trade Hunter Green in a piece today at The Athletic.
Well, apparently nobody else is selling, so maybe they can try to sell high on being one of the only selling teams in the market.
Because he's already extended into the 2030s, I want to say, or somewhere around that area. And I never even considered Hunter Green potentially to the Brewers to put with Miz. But anyways, the point being is you've never seen anything like this. Some of the responses that I received when I said that was, sure, if the Brewers win a championship, you can say that, right? If they win a championship, then you could put Miz to the Brewers as Giannis is to the Bucks. But if they don't ever win a championship while Miz is here, then that is, you can't make that statement, Sparky. You can't make that statement unless they win a championship. So I understand I'm early in the process. He hasn't even completed his first full season in Major League Baseball. And I already am on this bandwagon of, again, that freakish ability of how much better he is than everybody else. The stuff that he can do that nobody else can do. And do it at such a young age. They were making fun of him a little bit on MLB last night on the Sunday scorecard show that they do. They're like, man, wouldn't it be like, I don't know, a little bit better if he had like an older, like goatee, me-looking face when he's throwing that?
They just want him to be Randy Johnson.
Right, instead he throws and he looks like he should be in high school still. It's baby face, like there's no mean anything to him, and he's just heaving it up there doing his thing. I started laughing. I was like, well, yeah, maybe, but
Can he even grow a goatee?
Right.
Maybe that's
well,
part of the question.
I forgot who was on there last night, but somebody said he hasn't even started shaving yet. So that's completely unfair to the Miz. And I don't think that's true either. But what do you think? You tell me, do you think Miz can be to the Brewers what Giannis was to the Bucks, Charlie?
I think to some degree. I think part of the problem is the argument that a lot of people have brought up with this same kind of topic is that he's just a starting pitcher. He's only pitching every 5 days. With Jacob Misiorowski, he's probably going to be pitching less than that, especially as he moves on in his career and these injury concerns keep popping up, but he hasn't got hurt yet. So there's no real reason to have that type of injury concern. outside of he's a little bit clumsy and kind of slips a little bit because he steps too far down on the mound, farther than anybody else does in the league, which is part of what makes him so awesome. But you just still think with an arm that's throwing as hard as he is, as often as he is, that he's going to get hurt at some point. And I think both of those concerns this early on in his career are something that I don't think Giannis really had this early on in his career. Even when he started to take that stride, it was all about, wow, he is just dominating, and people aren't as concerned as how he's dominating, just as how you stop that. And then once teams did stop that, how does he evolve as a player? And then when the playoffs started coming around in the 2020s post-championship and he starts getting hurt in the playoffs, then you start having those concerns. But that's way later in his career. You're already starting to have these questions pop up for Jacob Misiorowski, which I think makes it hard for him to reach that same kind of status. That on top of they're not giving him a second contract. So if he doesn't spend a majority of his career,
this is his first full year in baseball. You've already got to the end of his contract of, hey, 5 years they're not paying him.
Do you think they're paying him?
I don't know what the CBA is in 5 years. I don't know. I have no idea. If there's a CBA and a hard cap and all that.
And you don't think the Brewers are in the same boat?
It all depends how this plays out. Now, again, if you get to the point of, okay, there's max contracts like there is in the NBA, then make that decision. And then based on the CBA, how many max contracts can be on your roster in order for it to work going ahead? Again, make that decision of where you want to spend that money. But yes, if it stays as it currently is, which it might, yes, there's no way they're going to be able to pay him long-term if he's healthy pitching like this. He'll be the highest paid pitcher in baseball by a lot.
And I think even with the max contracts, you look at this team, you say, you know what, maybe we want William Contreras to have that max contract because he's so important to the development of these young pitchers. And Chris Hook should get paid as much as he can, so we keep him around. And then we don't have to pay another pitcher for the rest of our time. We can spend all that money on Jesus Medea and Andrew Fisher and paying all these guys eventually one day. You save some money, I think, moving forward because you have such a deep farm system. So I think either way, they're going to find a way to make an excuse as to why they can't pay Jacob Misiorowski.
And that's the thing, is not necessarily making an excuse of why to pay him one way or the other, but the Bucks were in a situation to where they were willing to spend to go into the luxury tax, pass the first apron, and be flirting with the second apron and spending all this ungodly amounts of money. Now, they have a luxury tax in Major League Baseball already, and the Dodgers are spending ungodly amounts of money, as are the Mets, to play above the luxury tax. They thought that it would work potentially, maybe like the NBA, to where it would help to stifle some of the top-end spending to bring it down. It has not done it enough because they don't have enough penalties in place like the NBA does to where, okay, now you can't make these trades. Now you can't take on this amount of contract. Now, if you trade players, they've got a match. It can't be 3-for-1s or anything like that. All of these things that they have put in at the different aprons really has acted like a salary cap that the Players Association, now you're hearing complaining about this. Good luck having the owners ever give this up because it's working perfectly without saying that it's a hard cap. Can baseball get the same thing done? I highly doubt it with the guy that's representing Major League Baseball right now in Player Association conversations. Trell, north side of Milwaukee. Do you think the Miz can be to the Brewers what Giannis was to the Bucks?
How you doing, Sparky?
What's up, buddy?
This is a great topic. I'll say this. Besides injuries and different things like that can obviously blow up anything, I think pretty much you kind of hinted around the most important thing that can stop us. And yes, I am a proponent. I think that absolutely, even though he's a pitcher and of course, he won't be as available like a player like Giannis because he plays, there's less players in basketball, and Giannis plays both sides of the floor and so on and so on. I think Miz has that type of effect. But I think the thing that's in Miz's way is that with Giannis, the owners were willing to put pieces around him and spend extra money if need be. And I think with this owner for the Brewers, he's never showed the propensity to do that since he's been here. He's always been the guy that's going to be, let's put a competitive team out there and see if we can catch lightning in the bottle type of thing. And in a situation how Giannis was, where he actually got to the pinnacle, it was no risk and no biscuit. The Bucks risk a lot, and they achieved the highest thing. But with those type of things, you're trying to maintain that, and they kept doing risk, and the risk didn't work out for them, and they end up losing Giannis. But they still got to the pinnacle. I think Mark A. And his financial team and all the small minority owners and all that is pretty much the only thing, besides, of course, health, which I'm not going to speak that into existence. So I would say Mark A is the thing that's standing in the way of Miz accomplishing that type of immortality like Giannis, in my opinion.
All right. Very good. Thanks for the call. That's all accurate, I think, on his point. And a lot of this does come back to the owners of both teams and what they're willing to spend and really what this is all about at the end of the day. And we're going to get into some of what Jeff Passan had to say in that Q&A coming up at 3:20. But if you're thinking while watching this season play out as we get towards the deadline on August 3rd, that there may not be all of a season next year, maybe there'll be a part of a season or whatever. Well, if that's the case, then you're not going to have to pay full salaries for all these guys if there is no season, right? So if they come back in June, those are going to be prorated salaries that you're going to have to pay the rest of the year. So from that perspective, you're going to save money for sure. The one thing that does still occur, even if they can't get this resolved, let's say it's middle of July. Well, the minor leagues are still going on at the same point of the year. So you could still go see Wisconsin Timber Rattlers baseball or Beloit Snappers baseball. That's not the Brewers, but Beloit Snappers baseball, whatever. You can still go see your minor league teams because those seasons still occur, even if Major League Baseball is having their lockout during the course of 2027. Why is that good news for the Brewers? Because your players can continue to develop. Now, Madej could be at AAA Nashville and still playing every day. His development does not get stunted because he's not on the Major League roster and he's not involved with this. That's the other thing that comes into play as far as what decisions you make between now and the end of the year. Because I believe you are on that 40-man roster and there is a lockout. I think the way it goes is then you're not playing. If you're not on the 40-man roster, you can continue to play in the minor leagues next year.
That's definitely a bright side for those guys that are still in the minor leagues, but the Brewers also still have a really young roster. And I think there are a lot of guys that you do get worried about losing a little bit of any kind of juice they built this season if they don't play last year. Cooper Pratt, Luis Lara, Jackson Chourio. I think all these guys, Kyle Harrison, I think is one you get a little bit worried about because he just had a little bit of rough end up to the injury that he's had so far. So I think all these players you get a little bit concerned about. It's not the Dodgers who you're loaded with veterans and you don't get worried because you know what these guys are. Maybe just the fact that they're adding another year to their age with these young players, you don't want to stunt anything. I think you could maybe put Jacob Misiorowski in that group despite him being an electric talent. You still don't want to see a season off and how that affects him potentially moving forward.
But from the Miz side of things, which is who we're talking about right now, months off may not be so bad to save some wear and tear on the arm. May not be such a bad thing of, hey, we're going to save some innings like everybody else is saving on that elbow, especially depending on how long he pitches in the postseason. Trying to read some dugout YouTube chat comments. I've got some X comments as well. Jay Zilla says, I feel like we're all kind of just waiting for that career-altering injury, probably because it's just too good to be true. If he is this guy for, say, the next 3 full seasons, it would be amazing and make him the GOAT Brewers pitcher already. If we're talking from a talent perspective, he's that dude now. Like, before with Giannis, when he came in, remember, nobody thought he was this. Maybe people had dreams of he could be half of this and people would have been excited, but nobody thought he'd be an MVP the first couple of years in the league. They were just hoping he'd be a good player for 25 minutes a night, give you 15 and 10, whatever the case may be, and that would be great. But as far as he went, this guy, from a talent perspective, is announcing his presence immediately. Last year, coming in, throwing no-hit balls first couple of performances. From that perspective, it's completely different than Giannis, Charlie.
Oh, it's 100% different. And he starts the All-Star game in his first year, makes it a second All-Star game in his second year. He's probably going to win Cy Young. He has a chance to win the Triple Crown. Like, this guy is just electric, and he's the same age as me. Like, that's just crazy to think that this guy is doing this at this level this young. If we head on over to the YouTube dugout chat, Mr. JD says, no. Is he a major piece to a championship? Absolutely. Too many players involved to winning a game, not to mention a whole season and championship run. His mark is one game and only so many innings.
Listen, I cannot stress this enough. The Brewers have been fortunate over the course of time to have really good stud frontline pitchers, right? You had Ben Sheets, stud. You had Corbin Burns, stud. Then you had good pitchers. Giovanni Gallardo was a good starting pitcher. Stud like Sheets or Burns? No, but good, right? You've had some good players at the front of those rotations too. This dude here is more talented than Burns. He's more talented than Sheets. He's more talented than anybody that's come through this organization, period. Why? Because of his arm. That's why. Nobody else can even remotely come close to throwing as hard as what this guy has thrown. I mean, Hader top 100 from time to time, and that's damn good considering, he's coming from the left side. He's a closer, all of that. That's great. Aroldis Chapman still throwing 100. He's like 100. That's great. But it's one inning. He ain't out there throwing 5, 6, 7 innings at a time. And then yesterday afternoon, I mean, this dude comes out here, strikes out the first 3, and you're like, damn, that's pretty good. The next thing you know,
2-2 the count on Cole Carrick, and he's gone. And Mizorowski is off to a special start here today. 6 up, 6 down, 6 strikeouts. The Miz,
Brian Anderson, Brewers TV. I'm sorry that you just don't see stuff like that. You just don't, and that's crazy. The fact that he gave up a home run to that dude or whatever
stupid pitch. I said this earlier.
Was outside.
Mason and Mitch were like, oh, you know what? That's all right. That's a pitch that you get by. No, I'd rather somebody earn a hit. Like, I hate that was such a stupid pitch that he just swings on and hopes and prays that it gets to be a hit and it's a home run.
When the ball is coming that hard, you don't really have to swing from your heels to get it out of the park.
That was a home run because Jacob Mizorowski throws 104 miles.
Yes, correct.
That's why.
That's the downside of throwing 104 miles.
Yeah, but I'd rather it
ball.
was a missed pitch by Miz, like right down the middle, and a guy saw it. And, no, it wasn't that. It was a stupid hit. That's dumb. I hate it.
It was outside. I got multiple guys, including Trey from Cream City Crossover. Got to win a chip before you can really make the comparison. Kevin, hold up on that until winning a World Series. Market Maker says Miz is once in a lifetime for baseball, and it's very unlikely his arm holds out. Just enjoying the ride. What percentage of Brewers fans? I'm curious about this. We got text messages, and we'll get some more of this stuff. How many of you are waiting for an injury? I feel like, 70% of Brewer fans, every time we bring up Miz and how great he is, the response is, he's going to get hurt eventually. Just enjoy it while it lasts. Like, everybody's just waiting for something to go wrong. And I understand it. I get it. That was part of the reason why I didn't want to pay him, a 10-year contract. Over 10 years. He's in his first full year. We don't have to think about injury in his first full year, do we?
No, probably not.
I mean, we have 5 years of this.
I think some fans are sitting here and hoping that they have an escape plan for if the season ends up in a disappointment again. If Pat Murphy wins Manager of the Year and they're the number 1 seed in the playoffs again, you go in and you screw up and Jacob Mizorowski's hurt before then you have an excuse. You have a reason to say, oh, well, Miz wasn't on our team and we couldn't get there through that point, when this team has just played really well in general and overall, and that they should have a shot even without Miz and that pitching staff, that if some other guys get healthy and these other young pitchers play really well and you make 1 or 2 trades, that you should still have a chance even without him. But if he isn't there and they go and lose in the playoffs again, you can say, well, maybe next year because he'll be healthy then.
Okay, this is from the 608. Tell me if you agree with this. Miz can't ever mean as much to the city as Giannis. Will Paul Skeens ever mean as much to Pittsburgh as Sidney Crosby? Giannis changed the view of Milwaukee, who brought the city a championship.
I don't know if I would say he can't ever mean as much. I think if he has the same kind of impact beyond just his sport that Giannis was able to have, if he's able to implement himself within the city and in different organizations that he's a part of, or just being around and being available, which he's been so far. He goes all to these different card shops and people see him out all the time. And he loves the city of Milwaukee. Seems like he says that all the time. And that if he can continue to have that type of presence, but also stick around for a long term, that's what matters too to these guys, and why they were able to build that type of recognition across their cities, because they were there forever. Miz has to be here forever to do that. So I wouldn't say never, but I think it's unlikely.
From the 262, Miz is a generational talent. He has already eclipsed Skeens as the top pitcher in the NL. He is absolutely key to a deep run. Anyone that does not understand that must be from Chicago, because they have zero baseball knowledge. That's Front Row Ferguson chiming in.
He is a generational talent. I don't think anybody's arguing that, but Giannis also built something with the city of Milwaukee beyond his sport. And I think that's huge, and part of the reason he is that legend that we talk about. I saw Uke this weekend, and that was another person who just built a relationship with the city beyond the sport. And you have to be able to do that. And again, you have to be able to be here for a really long time for that to happen.
The Giannis Milwaukee thing. Listen, Miz can't necessarily do what Giannis did from the aspect of you got a new arena because Giannis was really good. If Giannis wasn't Giannis and they sucked, I don't know if that arena ever happens. I don't. Very well may not. But because you had Giannis doing what he was doing, kind of like Peyton Manning in Indianapolis, if it wasn't for him playing as well as he was in Indy, at the end of the RCA Dome, they don't get Lucas Oil. There's no chance that happens, right? So you look at Giannis, that is why there was Fiserv Forum. And because of the owners of that team, that's how Milwaukee gets redone downtown, kind of. Everything kind of gets modernized, more bigger, higher profile things start coming in. You develop the Deer District. All of that happens in large part because Giannis was that good. And Bucks fans were like, yep, whatever you want. Yep, whatever you want. Yep, whatever you want. Like, whatever. Doesn't matter. We just want to see Giannis. And then you throw 65,000 or whatever the number was in there to watch the Bucks in a playoff game, and everybody across the country loses their minds by the scene in Milwaukee. Again, yeah, that's Giannis. Can Miz do that? I don't know if Miz can do that for a couple of reasons. One, you're in the Valley. So I'm not even sure how that looks, right? Because even the NLCS, you never saw any shots of Bucks fans gathered in large amounts of people watching their team on a jumbotron anywhere. You never saw it. It never happened. And if the Brewers get to the World Series, again, I don't think you're going to see it then either, even though I think I would be accurate in saying if you said in the state of Wisconsin, the amount of fans that there are, Packer fans by large, right? Training camp starts this week, and that's going to be all Packers all the time with a bunch of fans. People are just going to forget. I'm telling you right now, some Packer fans will be like, cool, Bruce. Yep, I'm all in on the Packers now. I'm going to training camp and blah, blah, blah. And people are just going to bail on the Brewers. We will not on this show, but I know some will. But then after Packer fans, then there's Brewer fans, and then there is a canyon in the state of Wisconsin, and then you get Badger fans, and then potentially another dip, and then you get Bucks fans in the state. I'm not saying southeastern Wisconsin. I'm saying across the state, from the tippy top across the top of the state to both edges on the sides and all the way down to the state line. That's how I think it looks from a fan perspective. So when you start having the conversation of Miz versus Giannis, in a lot of people's minds, Miz is going to be that guy regardless because they weren't watching the Bucks with Giannis anyhow.
Probably, but when talking about that storyline of building a stadium for the city and being the guy to be able to do that, I think it's a little unfair for Miz, and I guess it's not his fault that he just doesn't have that opportunity. The Brewers don't need a brand new stadium. Their stadium's awesome. People talk about it all the time, and it's constantly getting updated. It's constantly getting these upgrades that a lot of people are super happy with. The Brewers aren't a super bad organization at this point. They're a really cool organization that a lot of people, a lot of other teams are starting to look at and follow the ways that they've been able to build up this franchise over the past few years to have continued success like we always talk about. Miz is just coming into a great organization that he doesn't need to have that type of impact that these other guys have. He has to find other ways to get people to keep their eyes on the Milwaukee Brewers, which is kind of hard across the country.
No doubt. 2015 was when that vote happened. That was September 22nd of 2015. In the 2015 season, he averaged, 17 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, and a steal and a half. That next year, he got to 23 points. The year after that, 27. And away we went. And he was onward and upward from that point. His minutes went all the way up to 35 minutes a game. You could start to see each year. Again, first year, 7 points. Next year, 13 points. Next year, 17, 23, 27, 28, 29. Like just craziness as how you started to see him build. We are way late for a break. We talked for like a half hour. Holy crap. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you.
2-2 the count on Cole Carrick. And he's gone. And Mizorowski is off to a special start here today. 6 up, 6 down, 6 strikeouts. The Miz.
The Miz. That's awesome. Brian Anderson on the call, Brewers TV. 6 in a row, ends up with a dozen strikeouts yesterday. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen over there talking about this question. Do you think the Miz can be to the Brewers what Giannis was to the Bucks? Nicolay Law talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Front Row Ferguson texted and now has decided to call in. What's up, Front Row Ferguson?
Oh, where do I start, Sparky? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You bet.
First of all, do not ever again say Giannis had anything to do with the Fiserv Forum. He was in his second year in the league, averaged 12 points a game when the vote by the legislature happened.
I just read the stat line before the break. Yep, go ahead.
Nothing to do with it. Furthermore, Miz is already better than Giannis was at any point, I believe, in Milwaukee, and I will tell you why. He has just finished his first full year in the majors. This is his first full season in the show. He's the runaway favorite for Cy Young.
Yep.
That is the equivalent of Giannis in his second year in the NBA being the runaway favorite for MVP. That never happened. And that doesn't happen in basketball, first of all. The dominance that Miz is showing is literally unseen before. You have professional baseball players who train their entire lives to hit fastballs that can't hit a fastball when he throws it. That doesn't just happen. He's a unique gift from the baseball gods to the game. We're just fortunate that he ended up in our program. He is a phenomenal talent, and I will tell you this right now. When the Brewers, not if, but when they win a World Series with Miz on the mound, the city is going to explode beyond what you ever could imagine. This is a baseball town first. We're not a basketball first town. We got excited because we won a championship. We were dying for a championship. The Bucks happened to deliver it. When the Brewers win it all, that parade will have 1 million people waiting to watch, not 400,000.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I don't disagree with you on this being a baseball town in Milwaukee. It's a baseball state more than it is a basketball state as well, Front Row Ferguson. Thanks for the call. So, based on how he put it, does that then mean there is no basketball player that could be at this level of Miz from a baseball perspective? Meaning you can't stop said person and they essentially are scoring at will whenever they want to score? Because that does not exist.
No, but I think there's guys that you talk about that are like that lethal type of scorer. Kevin Durant is that type of guy, and I think he had kind of a freakish kind of talent coming into the NBA immediately as a rookie. Derrick Rose wins his MVP in his third year of his career, so yes, not second year, but he has that type of impact for a Chicago Bulls team. He then gets hurt later on because of his style of play is just way too fast and way too aggressive. Kind of sounds like Jacob Mizorowski potentially. Like, it's in that same kind of boat. So like, I think there are players that are comparable. I think just because you like baseball better than basketball doesn't mean that no basketball player can ever have that type of impact for a team. And again, I think Giannis, his impact beyond the stadium, yes, you can keep having that argument about the stadium, but just his impact for the city overall is unmatched. That was something that you've never seen from anybody for a Milwaukee Bucks uniform before. That was insane. And he changed what it was to be a Bucks fan, not only in the city of Milwaukee, but in the state of Wisconsin too.
In 2016, by the way, for the Bucks, Giannis was an all-star. He also won Most Improved Player award. In 2018, when I believe it opened, you may want to fact check me on that, but I believe it was 2018. In 2018, when it opened, he won the MVP award in 2018. He won the MVP award and the Defensive Player of the Award in 2019. He's been an all-star every year since 2016 through last season as well.
Fiserv Forum opened August 26, 2018. Construction began in 2016.
Correct. So there you go. So 2016, all-star Most Improved Player. 2017, he was 6th in MVP voting, was an all-star. 2018, won MVP, 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year. 2019, MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. So, yeah, I'd say, yeah, it's pretty good. Now,
they were hedging their bets a little bit, yeah, for sure.
To say this, can Giannis win an award that doesn't apply to him? No, because they're not specified. In baseball, the Cy Young Award is only for pitchers, right? Jackson Chourio can never win the Cy Young Award. It's not meant for him. He cannot win it. However, can a pitcher, here's something else for you to look up, can a pitcher win the Cy Young Award and the MVP award? Could a pitcher potentially win both awards in a year? And if so, has it ever been done before? Would be my other question.
It looks like,
because Ohtani would have a chance because he hits too to potentially win both.
5 people have done it all time.
Who's the last one?
The last one was Denny McLain for the 1968 Tigers.
So that's the goal. So that's the goal. And that's a DH, so he wasn't hitting. So that is the goal, I think, for Mizorowski. Can you win the Cy Young and the MVP in the same year? We want to talk about dominance and doing something that people don't do and really
Bob
being
Gibson
that guy.
did it that same season, 1968 for the Cardinals too. That's kind of crazy.
I'm just saying. That's potentially the next step. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Well, I opened up Pandora's box in the last segment. I didn't know the answer, so I asked Charlie, hey, dude, Google the last time somebody's won the Cy Young and the MVP, because I didn't know the answer. So Charlie Googled it and started reading names and years and so forth. And the Nikolai Lautaga text line blew the heck up immediately. Like, hey, you missed this guy. Hey, you missed that guy. Okay, so let's start over. Charlie, what do we have for the list?
All right. So the list, this is from Yahoo Sports. This is a 2023 article. So the latest. The guys most recently are Clayton Kershaw in 2014 did it. Justin Verlander in 2011 did it. Dennis Eckersley in 1992. Roger Clemens in 1986. Willie Hernandez in 1984. Rollie Fingers in 1981. Vida Blue in 1971. The original article I was looking up was talking about it from Vida Blue backwards.
So the most recent was who?
Clayton Kershaw in 2014.
But I mean, you're talking about Eckersley. That was a closer. You talked about Rollie Fingers. That was a. So, I mean, you've seen closers win the MVP award, not to mention the starter award, right?
Yeah, you've seen both of these things happen.
Very, very possible then. It's very possible that Miz could win MVP and the Cy Young potentially in the same year. Now, is that going to happen this year? No, because his innings aren't going to match up, the starts, all that other stuff. By the time this is all said and done, it's not. Like, he had a shot, people thought, at getting Ben Sheets' single season strikeout record. He would need like 29 starts at the current pace in order to catch Ben Sheets' strikeout record. So that's not going to happen, obviously. But to think of here in the next couple of years as he builds up his innings, little by little, and they let him go like every other starter go, assuming the strikeouts continue at the same rate, that would be unbelievable if you can get both awards in a single season, especially considering some of these guys have won it as a reliever.
Right. But again, that's not really in the modern era either. That was a long time ago. 1981 is still 40.
Kershaw?
Yeah, Kershaw's a starter. He's
Correct.
not a reliever. Like, that's
Right.
what I'm saying. As a reliever, you're not going to be able to
But
do
I'm just saying, it makes it even more possible. Knowing a reliever has done it.
But I'm saying the game's
game's
changed. Like, yeah, it's happened, but the game's different. Like, the relievers don't get that same kind of pull that I think they used to get.
What year for Kershaw?
Kershaw was 2014.
2014 for Kershaw. Let's look at Kershaw's numbers quickly here. We're going to have to get to a break. Clayton Kershaw's numbers in 2014, he went 21-3. His win above replacement was 7.7. Woo-wee. 6 complete games, had an ERA of 1.77. And this is on pace to be under 1.77. He's under 1.6 right now. 198 innings pitched that year. I mean, that is crazy. His whip was 0.857.
Miz is currently at 120 innings pitched in 20 games. He's 11-4 with a 1.58 ERA, 185 strikeouts, a whip of 0.75.
Kershaw won the Cy Young in 2011, won the Cy Young in 2013, won the Cy Young in MVP in 2014. That dude won the Cy Young 3 of 4 years. You want to talk about dominating a sport. That's the type of stuff that, again, if you're going to make the comparison to Giannis and have that conversation type deal, he starts doing stuff like that. That's comparable to Giannis winning back-to-back MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year, and all the other stuff.
And he did that without winning a championship throughout that period, I don't think, either. So I think that also helps Miz's case to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, that is pretty wild to think of how that whole thing plays out. Let's see here. Yeah, 23. Yeah, you're right. They did not win a World Series in that time frame that you're talking about, that we were just talking about there. Looking at his postseason numbers. His postseason numbers in 2014, that was the year, was it? 2014? Yep. He had a 7.82 ERA in the playoffs that year. He won Cy Young and MVP.
He gave it all. He said it was everybody else's job after this.
7.82. He gave up 11 runs in 12 innings, Charlie.
Yeah, that's not great. Not great from the guy that just won MVP and Cy Young that you're relying on. But again, other people were supposed to step up, I guess.
My God. If you want to watch baseball, Potawatomi Sportsbook, 2 different levels. Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen is unbelievable. Full menu. Got the all-you-can-eat brunch going on as well. Their brunch buffet, not all-you-can-eat, but brunch buffet going on. 40 beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails, 2,000 square foot center screen. You can watch over 30 sporting events at one time. Plus, You got the shuttles that take you to and from all Brewers home games. Check them out now at Potawatomi.com. Coming up next, some interesting reports out there about who may not be available at the trade deadline anymore. Names that have been attached to the Brewers. I'm not quite sure what this means necessarily as far as the Brewers adding an impact player. We'll discuss that coming up next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome in. We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you, Charlie using the other side of the glass. My goodness, that last hour. Woo-wee, baby. Got a text message in here. Remember we were talking about Denny McLain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bill from Iron River says, I've never liked the designated hitter rule. Was disappointing when it was put in the National League until 1973. Denny McLain did indeed bat. So he was playing before the designated hitter rule was even put into place back in the day.
All right. So he was just raking for the love of it, man. He didn't even have a position for it.
I don't even know what he we should go back and look and see what he actually was hitting at that point. Yeah, it was the designated hitter was not instituted in the American League until 1973. McLain did indeed bat. Wow. That's wild. Okay. So lots to get to here this hour. We're going to talk about Jeff Passan, who was doing a Q&A and dropped what I would consider a fairly big piece of news that probably should worry baseball fans everywhere with what he said. So we'll do that. Charlie Sounds of the Day comes up today at 3:40. Green and Gold update at 4 o'clock. Dan Orlovsky talking earlier today on First Take, but also Ed Policy at the owners meeting. For those of you that don't like reality TV and the Green Bay Packers, well, guess what? Sounds like it's coming to you. Reality TV and the Green Bay Packers potentially. So stay tuned for that. That is coming up at 4 o'clock. But before we get to that, it is 3 o'clock, so we continue on.
It's time to talk about the Crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Okay, so a couple of different things to talk about here concerning the Brewers. Going into this trade deadline coming up on August 3rd, we've been talking about for the last week or two the idea of Mason Miller potentially being a guy that the Brewers might be linked to. That the Brewers called in to see what they were wanting from Mason Miller. They apparently called in to see what the number was or the player price on Tarek Skubal. That was about the extent of the reporting. Also in that reporting, Matt Arnold also said that, he will reasonably, do what he has to do at the trade deadline. I mean, I guess you have to say reasonably, but I think there's a part of every Brewer fan that says, to hell with that. Let's just go for it and see what happens, dude. To hell with this reasonably stuff. And when you say reasonably, that tells me that Freddie Peralta is more likely than anybody realizes, because Freddie Peralta has one of the worst ERAs among starting pitchers right now and would come the cheapest by far of any of the potential starting pitchers that are going to be on the market, Charlie.
Again, there's these teams right now that all feel like that they have pieces that if nobody else is going to start selling, they're going to start selling really fast on. And the New York Mets are one of those teams. I think they're calling the Brewers phone more often than the Brewers are calling the Mets phone, trying to get them to buy in on Freddie Peralta. And I think eventually the Brewers are going to go, damn, fine. Yes, we'll take Freddie back because we know what he can be for the most part. Hopefully he can just regain that. So far, what we've seen from Chris Hook, while he's amazing at working with these young pitchers and getting them up to speed with the Brewers system, he hasn't done as well with the veteran pitchers. They cut Lance McCullers after his 2 appearances where he gives up 3 runs in each of those 4 walks in this last one. That was really bad, really not fun to watch from Lance McCullers. He's had that kind of lack of success with other veteran pitchers that have been around the league a little longer. Freddie Peralta spending half a season away working with the Mets staff, is that too much to overcome in a half of a season for Chris Hook and this team?
I don't think so. He's known Peralta for a long time. I don't worry about that as much. I was relatively surprised that they cut Lance McCullers Jr. over the weekend, and then they designate him for assignment. And then today they sent out a thing of we've officially released, meaning go play where you want to play.
If anybody wants him, I guess.
And Murphy talking about how hard that conversation was because he was just there a couple weeks. And when you heard McCullers talk, he talked all about wanting to serve the team and do whatever they want him to do. If you want me to pitch out of the bullpen, I'll pitch out of the bullpen. You want me to work with the young guys, I'll work with the young guys. Whatever you want. I'm just happy to be here, want to be a part of this thing. And then boom shakalaka, out the door goes Lance McCullers Jr. So the idea of getting Mason Miller was one. Now there's reports out here in the last couple of days that there's probably like less than a 10% chance that the Padres are actually going to move Mason Miller at this point. They may trade Michael King, their starting pitcher, but it does not appear that Mason Miller is available to be had at this point from the San Diego Padres. Then there's Ken Rosenthal talking about the Minnesota Twins. Again, Minnesota Twins with a couple of guys, Joe Ryan, Byron Buxton, have been rumored to potentially be named at the trade deadline, depending on what happens with the Twins. Rosenthal said this on Fair Territory.
I say buyers, and they are right in the thick of this thing, as again, every team in the American League seems to be, and they need bullpen help. It's pretty clear, but I don't expect them to trade Joe Ryan. I don't expect them to trade Byron Buxton. Their new control person, Tom Pohlad, has been pretty vocal about wanting to make this team good again after what they did last year at the deadline when they were the biggest sellers by far. By the way, that was something we didn't see coming. So that's where I expect the Twins to be, buying rather than selling. Maybe they do a little of both, but I don't believe that they're going to concede this and trade the guys that I just mentioned.
That's not good news for the Brewers either. Because Joe Ryan's a guy that has another year left on his deal. That's a guy that you were hoping potentially that you can get. I know he gave up like 6 or 7 home runs the other day. But besides all of that, that would have been a good get for the Brewers to add to what you have already with Harrison and Miz. Now that there's not starters out there, there are definitely starters out there. But the bigger name pieces seem to be coming off the board. And we still don't know what's happening with the Detroit Tigers at this point. There is some belief that they may just keep Tarik Skubal. And Skubal is like, oh, I want to stay in Detroit or whatever. Okay, fair enough. But again, it just doesn't make much sense. You went all the way to arbitration with this dude. You didn't. You could have signed him potentially if you wanted to some type of massive extension and didn't at the end of the day. So why in the world would you allow him to walk away on a comp pick? That just doesn't make any sense to me, but there is talk out there that could still be a possibility.
Unless maybe they still think they can get a deal done with him. I'm not really sure. Maybe they feel like because the American League is so wide open that 6 games under 500 is still enough to get into the playoffs, that if they can get into the playoffs healthy, all they need is 1 season of Tarik Skubal, and it doesn't matter if you lose him in the offseason, if you can try to make a World Series run, because you got really damn close last season if you're the Detroit Tigers. There's a lot of things, and the way that the American League is shaping out right now, especially with the Yankees starting to lose players, like dropping like flies, it's kind of bad over in that situation. If you can just get the right kind of hot streak going, like the Boston Red Sox have been able to have over the past couple of weeks, past month or so, that you can make yourself right back into this race. And I think a lot of these teams have that mindset, again, making it kind of hard to trade with teams on that side of the MLB. You may have to stick within the National League and within the National League Central, because I think there's more teams there that would be willing to sell than almost any other division right now.
I got one coming in on Nikolai Latok in text line from the 262. They traded Freddie for a reason. He's done, not coming back. My prediction is Alcantara from Miami, who has played themselves out of the wild card, 1 year left on his deal, top of the rotation type, cheaper than Skubal. His numbers aren't as good as Skubal either this year, if we're going to be honest about that. Right now, he is in his age 30 season, has a win above replacement of 1.8. He's 10-6 with a 4.01 ERA, leads the big leagues with 143 and 2/3 innings pitched already. Leads the big leagues in batters faced at 598 already at this point. He's only given up 17 home runs in 143 and 2/3 innings. So that's not bad. His whip, walk splits, hits divided by innings pitched, 1.232 for Sandy Alcantara. 22 starts, also leads the big leagues. So he has a lot of wear and tear on this arm, at least this year, as far as innings pitched, batters faced. He's faced 598 batters, which also leads the big leagues as well.
The Miami Marlins are on a 12-game losing streak, just in case you guys didn't.
That's
crazy.
Their AAA team is on like a 13 or 14-game losing streak as well.
That's so sad.
Yes.
That makes you have no hope for the future.
The
as a
big
Marlins
league
fan.
and the AAA team both are on losing streaks. As far as Sandy Alcantara's numbers go, he's making $17.3 million this year. In 27, he'll be 31. He'll be making $21 million, but that is a club option. Now, there is a $2 million buyout there. So if the Brewers say, hey, man, we'll make this deal, and then we're going to buy you out because we don't want to pay $21 million for you for next year, they can get out and make it a rental if they want. If they decide they want to keep him for another year at $21 million, they can do that as well. So the Brewers really hold control of what they want to do. But if you think of Brandon Woodruff's $22 million coming off the books, you say we swap that out, put Alcantara in his place, and feel pretty good about
bring
things.
Brandon Woodruff back the year after when he's healthy, right?
Right, and then he's a free agent in 28.
Oh my God, that works out so perfect.
You just flip flop. I'm not giving him $20 million on the comeback the next time.
No,
though.
not this time.
I'm not doing $28 million on the comeback next time. The question is this: as more reports come out of players that won't be available, are you losing hope of adding an impact player for the Brewers at the deadline? Nikolai Lautaka, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, on the socials as well, at WI Sports Radio, whether that be on Instagram Live, on X, on YouTube. Like and subscribe when you're there, please. And then, of course, on the Fan Milwaukee Facebook page. Between Arnold saying he wants to have a reasonable deal, and then these bigger names dropping like flies because, like, again, we've talked about these AL teams are seemingly all in it. I am starting to lose some steam, I think, a little bit, that they're going to get a giant name here at the deadline.
But they still have the deepest farm system in baseball. I think, yes, a lot of these teams are maybe saying, oh, we're not willing to trade these guys, but I'm sure they're saying that with a little asterisk that says, oh, but for the right price, we can make this work. And the Milwaukee Brewers have all the pieces to pay the right price for almost anybody in baseball. Like, I think it's Shohei Ohtani, and that's about it. Maybe Bobby Witt Jr. wouldn't be traded by the Royals. But even then, if you give your top 5 prospects to them, I think they would think about it and at least look at the Milwaukee Brewers. That's how rich this Brewers team is. And that, yes, while I think it becomes more unlikely, this also feels like a ploy from a lot of these other teams to get as much value out of these players as possible if they are going to trade them. And I think the percentage chance is probably higher than what they're saying, just so that they can sell it a little bit higher. I think the Brewers, while you are a very smart team and never get screwed, you always screw every other team. I don't know. You can be a little bit more lenient with some of these trades if you want to make a big trade happen. These other teams are trying to bait you into that. I think you can take the bait a little bit.
He wants to be reasonable, Matt Arnold. I don't know. 414 says, Justin from Germantown, what about Jose Soriano from the Angels? He's 9-6 with a 3.29 ERA and 127 strikeouts. Soriano is an interesting case. Why? Because he has 2 years of arbitration still left. So you would own him for 2 more years after this year, age 28 year in 27, age 29 year in 2028. And then he becomes a free agent at age 30 in 2029. That's not a bad deal at all, depending on how much it costs you.
Well, and the Angels are one of those teams that I think are pretty squarely set on selling.
Yes.
They've announced that a lot of more guys than I think a lot of people thought
You got
are available.
Mozeliak running that now, the former Cardinals GM.
Zach Neto is rising up the board of top available trade candidates, and we know people have fallen in love with him throughout this past season. Brewers fans, that is. They have Joe Adell in the outfield. Mike Trout, I'm sure, is going to be shopped around, probably specifically to Philadelphia, but I think he's going to be shopped around. There's going to be a lot of guys on the market. If you can try to nab Jose Soriano for a little bit of a steal because the Angels want to just start moving on from players, go for it. I'm down for that. Maybe make it a bigger trade by adding a Neto, though.
Soriano got off to a hot start. I've got this dude in fantasy. Didn't give up a run in March. In April, had a 1.17 ERA. Which was awesome. Had a 0.84 ERA going into May. Then in May, he had a 5.34 ERA in 5 starts. And then in June, in 6 starts, had a 5.34 ERA.
Okay, yeah, that's not great, but like 5.34 doesn't make me like that that concerned. Like, it's not a 7 ERA or 6 ERA that Lance McCullers had coming in as a pitcher there in a trade.
We're talking about adding somebody that's going to be the guy after Miz. That's what we're talking about.
And the first couple of months of the season, I know the last 2 months say that he can be that guy.
Just July. July, he has an ERA of 2.74. July 7th, 6 innings, 2 runs. July 12th, 5 innings, 3 runs.
That's 3 months of positive production compared to 2 months of negative production.
But the 2 months of negative production were May and June. That's 11 starts.
It's still only 2 months. Like, you can work with that. Do you trust in Chris Hook to be able to work with a pitcher like that?
Didn't you just got done telling me that
he's a young pitcher? He's a young pitcher. I said old pitcher.
He's in his 20s.
He's a younger pitcher.
That makes him younger. All right.
He's younger in his career too. He still has 2 years of arbitration.
I'm just saying, if you like him, if you're the Brewers and you like him, it makes sense because you have for 2 years of control versus renting him for just this year or this year and next year. He could be that piece with Harrison and Miz, for the rest of this year and 2 more years as the front 3 guys. I don't mind it. I just know he came crashing back down to earth there for a couple of months, and now still he looks okay. He is pitching deeper into games than a lot of these other guys.
A lot of guys have a month or 2 of production down that are all-star caliber players. I think our vision is distorted by Jacob Misiorowski, who's just been so phenomenal this season that it doesn't feel like he's ever going to come down to earth. That when a guy like this, where he can still be a valuable part of the Brewers rotation, he has a couple bad months. You can't let that distort the fact that he can be a valuable part under Chris Hook's guidance and with this Brewers pitching staff.
I'll take a quick time out. Come back on the other side. I want to talk about what Jeff Passan said on this Q&A because it's not good. Hey, the Minions really wanted to impress their new big boss, Wendy, so they cooked up some fun chaos for the fans. Say hello to the Minions and Monsters meal, featuring one of 4 unique collectibles, new Banana Frosty Swirl, your choice of a big bacon classic or a spicy chicken sandwich, plus a small fry. It's time to go bananas over this exclusive Wendy's experience, limited time only. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen over there, other side of the glass. Got a text message coming in, the Nicolay Law Talking text line from the 715. So Sparky, with the Yankees being decimated by injuries, Judge, Bellinger, Giancarlo Stanton, do you think they would trade for Yelich, get out from under their contract so that we can move forward, even if we need to add another player or so? And the shout out media is that the Brewers need a thumper DH home run hitter. They pick up that person that only does that. What does that mean for Christian from the 715?
Well, I don't know if Christian Yelich would 100% want to be going to that team. I guess that's one of the only teams that gives him that opportunity. Looking at the Yankees roster right now, outside of the guys that are injured that we're talking about, there's not a whole lot of thump in that lineup, unless you're going to take a chance on Spencer Jones, maybe in the minor leagues. He's a guy who's gotten a few opportunities, but hasn't been able to really pull it out. Ben Rice is the other guy, but they're not going to let Ben Rice go at all unless it's for a huge package, which what is the point of that, in my opinion? I think the only way to get Christian Yelich out of this lineup is if Pat Murphy sits him down on the bench. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Christian Yelich's number isn't that big. Like, let me bring it back up. I think he's only making like 23 million or something like that. And I know you're like, only 23 million. Yeah, but you got guys making way more than that in Major League Baseball right now.
You do, but also it's what we talk about all the time, just kind of the sentiment behind Christian Yelich being a part of this lineup. And if you take him out of that completely by trading him away, what does that change about the vibe in the locker room? Does that change the way that the front office and the locker room communicate?
I think he is a leader in there, regardless if we want to say so or not, but 24 million this year. Next year is his age 35 season, 23.9 million. In 2028, 23.8 million. And then in 2029, his age 37 year is a mutual decision at 20 million.
Yeah, again, that's not insane. I don't think there's teams that would 100% turn their nose at that if you gave them the right type of package surrounding a Christian Yelich. But again, I think a lot of teams would also look at that as a salary dump for them and taking on a guy that's not going to be a part of their rotation. I don't think it's going to be the Yankees that are going to be calling about that. It's going to be these teams like the Rockies who have a ton of players that they're trying to sell, and the Angels, a ton of players that they're trying to sell. Hey, we'll take Christian Yelich back because that's a big contract. As long as you take 3 of our guys, 2 of them that we don't really even want anymore, 1 guy that you might want. That's the way you're going to get it done. And Christian Yelich isn't going to say yes to that. And again, for the Brewers, that's just the principle of the thing. You wouldn't say yes to that because you would rather do right by Christian Yelich.
That Yelich 29 mutual option, if the Brewers don't want him, 6.5 million buyout of the 20 million that he's owed. Not bad at all. Now, then he's a free agent in 2030. He gets 2.333. There's 6 threes after the 2, right? So $2.333333 million from 2031, his age 39 year, all the way through 2042 when he is 50. He gets that check every year from 2031 through 2042.
Well, and you assume he's going to be doing appearances during that time too, doing all these other things. That man's going to be making some good money moving forward. The Brewers did him right, man.
Yes. But again, that is something else that I think when we talk about the CBA deal and how this is working, as far as, hey, man, are we going to get rid of deferred money in baseball? Because I think there are a lot of people that don't like the deferred money because the Dodgers are doing it constantly right now.
All the time. And I think if the Brewers wanted to pay Jacob Misiorowski, they're going to do it through deferred contracts. They're going to try to figure out how can we assure him that he's going to be able to make money even if he does get injured moving forward. That's how they're going to get all their deals done moving forward for guys that they feel like are out of reach unless that gets changed. And I think there are a lot of people, a lot of fans that want that to be changed. I don't know about the teams that want that to be changed and the players even.
So this is something that I saw earlier that I wanted to point up. And it looks like a cue and a response. So this guy, Paul Matthew Anderson of Jeff Passan, how do you think the potential for a lockout affects the dealing? Will it be way down given the uncertainty of next season? Jeff Passan responds, great question. It's absolutely affecting some teams' approaches. There are owners that believe there won't be a single game next season. So they're telling their GMs to price that into their trade deliberations. Will it have a significant effect? I won't go that far, but does that possibility exist? Absolutely. So there are some owners, according to Jeff Passan of ESPN, that believe that there will not be a single game played in 2027 in Major League Baseball. That is the mindset that they are rolling into these negotiations with in December, that we may not play a single game. And we are aware of that going in, and then telling the general managers of those teams, take this into consideration when you're making your deals.
Well, and the amount of money that we've heard the players have pooled together to get through this certain kind of lockout at this point, compared to the past couple times this has happened, says that they're starting to get ready for this too. They're ready for an entire season to potentially be lost. That's a really bad sign for fans if you have people on both sides getting ready for that. Hopefully there's enough even-headed people as well alongside these people that are thinking it's going to be a full season lockout. They're saying, no, we can get this done, guys. Let's work through this.
This is my question. Do we know of, if they lose a season, does a player that's under contract for 27 then become void, and then you move on to what the contract says for 28 and that year just goes away? Or does all the contracts get moved a year? This is why I ask. Let's say, even though we just said Joe Bryant's not getting traded, but let's say you trade a guy that has 1 year left on his deal past this year. That contract that season doesn't happen in 27. Does that then mean Joe Ryan becomes a free agent in 2028 if there is no 27 season? In which case, you essentially paid God knows how much for a rental instead of a full 1.5 year deal. Because that does change. If I'm the Brewers or anybody, if I think there's a chance we don't play next year and the contract just moves to 28 and 27 is just gone, and then I don't get what I'm expecting to get out of that guy on a 1.5 year rental, that does make me very cautious, I think, at the trade deadline.
Unless maybe they can work out some kind of team option type of situation where you miss those couple of years. If the team wants to, they can pick up the contract where it left off and keep paying it off through the remainder of it. Otherwise, you can just let it go.
So which way do you want it to be if you're the players? And which way do you want it to be if you're the owners? Because I could see an argument from both sides of, I want to get to free agency. We can just move on to 28 where my contract is. And if I'm a team that is in a bad contract and I just missed out having to, like Yelich, for instance, we were just talking about, like, if you're the Brewers, okay, so there goes 27. We didn't have to spend $23 million. I've only got 1 year left to pay him. And we saved $23 million by not having to pay him that year. Now, again, they're going to lose money too with ticket sales and all that stuff. I understand they're going to still lose their tail end. But from the payroll perspective, they could save quite a bit of money.
They could. I think it would probably end up having to be the team's decision for this to work. I think if the players are doing this,
it's got to be a part of the CBA.
Again,
players and owners will have to decide how that season is deemed going forward.
Again, I think it would have to be something that's in favor of the owners for that to work, for sure.
In favor of the owners.
I think so. I think they have to be the ones making that decision at the end of the day.
Because there's two cases to this. So if you're the Brewers, now I just lost a year of Cooper Pratt and Lara, and I lost a valuable year of Jackson Chourio as well. And Contreras is now a free agent because he didn't play next year, and I had no opportunity to trade him or anything else, and he's out the door, and we don't have a catcher. Now Carroll's got to come up, obviously, at that point. But, man, what the hell are we going to talk about all next summer if there's no baseball, man? What are we going to do for a whole year?
All the big changes the Milwaukee Bucks are making, Sparky, next offseason, when they're going to be awesome again, right?
Yeah, maybe.
After they're NBA Cup champions again, Sparky.
There's no way. I'll say this. I will be super duper excited if they win the NBA Cup.
Yeah, okay. Awesome.
Yes. I'll commit to that right now. If they win the NBA Cup, I will be excited.
Can we hang a banner in the studio too? If they win the NBA Cup this year? Okay.
Sure, fine. I just don't have any expectations of them being very good. Brandon Jennings disagrees. We'll get into that in the 4 o'clock hour. Hey, are you looking for a college where you're going to excel in the classroom and on the field? At Bryant and Stratton College's Wauwatosa campus, you can compete in the NJCAA Division II athletics with more than 20 men's and women's teams to choose from. Baseball, basketball, track and field. Looking for track and field athletes right now? Keep playing the sport you love while earning your associate degree in business, healthcare, criminal justice, or digital marketing. Athletic scholarships are available for those who qualify. Let me read that line again. Athletic scholarships are available for those who qualify. You can go play at a D3 school. Absolutely. And you can have a good time. But there are scholarships available here at the D2 school, right? They call it a JUCO school because for 2 years, you go, you play. And if you're good enough, you may be able to go play at a Division I school for 2 more years once you're done. It sets you up to make that next jump. Some kids just aren't ready to jump from high school to a Division I program with the studies and everything else that goes along with it. So this transition that allows you to go from high school to Bryan and Stratton, then make your next move makes all the sense in the world.
It's a big deal. I think Bryan Stratton, and even if you just want to go and continue playing sports, they have opportunities for you as well. Even if you don't think it's beyond the 2 years, you just want to be able to go to a smaller school setting where you can take that growth at your own pace too. It's a great option for that.
Visit BryanStratton.edu and discover how Bryan and Stratton College is built different for you. Again, that's BryanStratton.edu and discover how Bryan and Stratton College is built different for you. Charlie, Sounds of the Day coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen, other side of the glass. Don't forget our fine folks over there at Burkhardt Sporting Goods. Wisconsin Sports Radio Network is proudly outfitted by Burkhardt Sporting Goods, our official apparel partner. Outfit your team or company with custom apparel today at BSG1881.com. And in fact, you'll be seeing all of us wearing some new gear with the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network logo on it. Charlie couldn't believe all of the stuff that was available.
Oh, there was so much. I got like a really cool crew neck sweatshirt that I'm going to be wearing all the time.
All right.
I'm a little bit more casual. I did get a polo shirt, Sparky. Don't worry. I got one so that I can be professional when I'm out and about.
Yeah.
I'm not typically a polo shirt guy, so I'm going to suck it up and wear that.
There
but yeah,
you
there's
go.
lots of great stuff. I got a backpack. That was awesome because I need a new backpack using my old college football one. And that one's starting to fall apart a little bit. So yeah, lots of great stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I got sweatshirts. I got a winter hat. I got a trucker hat.
Did you get the one with the
got a polo? No.
Why not?
No, I just got
Those are
the
the
beanie
best.
ones. No. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I did not get one of those. So it'll be fun. Looking forward to getting all of our new gear. Thanks to our fine folks over there at Burkhardt Sporting Goods. Okay, it is that time to get to Charlie's segment.
1, 2, 3. What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, Charlie, where are we going first?
All right, so a couple big sports stories broke over the weekend and this morning. One of those big sports stories was the fact that GM of the UNC football team, Michael Lombardi, was suddenly fired by UNC, and now the team is under investigation.
Isn't he put on paid leave? He wasn't fired, was he?
He's gonna be fired.
Well, he's not fired yet. Let's get it right. I don't want anybody calling him.
I don't think Michael Lombardi is going to call it.
Hey, Lombardi's been on this show before. Who knows? He might be watching us on YouTube or something.
Fair enough.
He's a big Packers guy.
Paid leave. Michael Lombardi's on paid leave. This is Mike Greenberg, Dan Orlovsky, and Dan Graziano on Get Up discussing the situation and what they make of Lombardi being placed on that paid leave.
North Carolina football general manager Michael Lombardi, who's been a top aide to Coach Bill Belichick there and many other places, has been placed on paid administrative leave effective immediately. No other details have been disclosed. Lombardi worked under Belichick both in New England and in Cleveland, joined him at Carolina in December of 24. He's had a few somewhat notorious moments last year, including when he told Patriot scouts they wouldn't get access to the Tar Heels program. He also boasted that Carolina would be the 33rd NFL team. They went 4-8 last year in Belichick's first season, didn't have a single player selected in this year's NFL draft. Just come out very quickly. I want to make it as clear as it can be made. We do not know why this has taken place. We will most certainly not speculate in that area. I would just ask you just quickly, Dan, I think there has been a general feeling that the Bill Belichick era in North Carolina, which arrived with so much fanfare and promise, has not gone as they had hoped, and this, I think, will add to that general feeling.
Sure. I mean, this is the guy that Belichick picked to come in and sort of oversee things as the GM, and you're right. We don't know what comes of this, what the reason is behind it, et cetera. But I think it's safe to say that it's gone poorly since Bill Belichick got to North Carolina.
Yeah, I agree. It's obviously been a disaster. Whether this situation happened or not, Coach Belichick's got to win this year. And they've got to win early for things to start to feel like we kind of expected them to be.
Been hardly no buzz about North Carolina throughout the entire offseason. The Athletic says that Lombardi's leave is connected to a human resources complaint, according to 3 people briefed on the matter but not authorized to speak publicly. UNC football has also been approached by the College Sports Commission about a potential investigation, according to 2 people briefed on that matter but not authorized to discuss it publicly, with Lombardi's actions believed to be of interest. The CSC is a year-old enforcement body that looks into potential violations of name, image, and likeness and revenue-sharing rules and approves third-party deals with athletes. This is the thing. I understand that college sports is not what it used to be. And I understand that you have contracts now and NIL deals and all this other stuff going on. It's still not the National Football League. They walked into that situation acting like, well, we won in the NFL. We're going to kill college coaches. They're not us. We've got rings. We know what the hell we're doing. Watch this. And we're just going to flash our rings, and all these kids are going to come running to play in North Carolina. And here we go. We know how to do this. And it didn't happen. I got a couple, but it didn't happen. I mean, you could argue Deion had a bigger effect on the type of talent he was able to get at Colorado than what Belichick was able to get at North Carolina.
Because I think Deion knows how to talk and handle with kids that age. His son played for him for multiple years.
Old guys don't know how to.
No, I don't think
really?
So. I think Bill Belichick went into North Carolina. Michael Lombardi went into North Carolina, and a lot of the recruits said those guys are weird for all the different stories that were coming out about both of them, all the different things that were happening. They looked at those guys and said, yeah, I get it. They're really cool and they got a cool background, but it looks like they're just messing around at North Carolina. They're saying whatever they want. They're doing whatever they want. Bill Belichick's girlfriend is running the team part-time, according to a lot of people. Like, it's just a really weird situation, and I wouldn't want to be a part of that. They don't get me. Deion Sanders didn't feel like he was trying to be anybody but Deion. And it feels like Bill Belichick and Michael Lombardi came into the situation and both are trying to be people bigger and trying to be that legend of what they used to be in front of these kids. And it's not working. It's just strange. And now you're seeing it kind of break down a little bit. And you're seeing that they couldn't do it without breaking the rules a little bit.
Well, again, we'll see. We'll see what is actually brought against them until we find out anything more. I don't want to comment because I don't want to get sued. What's next?
Next up, we're going to hear about one of the other big stories that happened this weekend. Kyle Shanahan, head coach for the San Francisco 49ers. It was released by ESPN that he had gotten into a pretty bad car accident earlier in the month of July, a couple weeks ago, around July 14th. This is Chris Sims being one of the first people outside of that initial ESPN report discussing what happened and what he saw from his side of things. This is on PFT Live with Mike Florio.
But yeah, all of a sudden one day I get a text from Kyle's wife, Mandy. She texts myself and my wife, and it's like, oh no, Kyle's been a part of some horrible accident. And she sent us some pictures right off the bat. And it was like, oh my gosh. Like, so just to let you know, paint the picture. You've seen the injury report, the broken ribs, 40 stitches in the face, the broken nose, broken left hand, of course, the bad concussion. But when you first see it and it's fresh and some of the cuts are still wide open, I mean, it's jarring. It's jarring. He was this close to maybe losing his right eye, right? The scar is so big right here. And so all that stuff was just crazy to see. And of course, I'm, thinking of my friend, but yeah, it's tough. And he's still battling with this concussion. And yeah, it happened about 10 days ago now, I'd say 11, maybe somewhere like that. And
13.
13 now. Holy crap.
14.
And yeah,
happened on the 14th and it was disclosed on the 25th.
He's healing. His face looks a whole lot better. But this concussion, of course, being a part of that kind of accident is lingering, and it's giving him issues, and he's certainly still dealing with that.
People are not happy that it took this long for this to come out. How does nobody have this story that entire time? Then there was speculation that maybe the Niners guys did have the story, the beat writers and so forth, but we're told to essentially keep it hush-hush by the team. And people are like, you've got to be kidding me. What do you mean? So they're working with the team now to cover stuff up and do whatever they have to do? Folks, this is going on across sports. It is. You've got PR staffs that have their finger on some of the media in their markets, depending on what it is. You want to get this interview? You want this? You want that? Then you play by our rules. Otherwise, you don't get it. That happens. That is absolutely a thing. It's been happening for a long, long time. So now you have media members that are going to play the game because they want access. They want to get their hands on whatever they can get it on. So absolutely. Why didn't Phil Simms say something? Phil Simms has a platform every day. He could have came on the air after he saw the pictures, or Chris Simms had the platform and could have came on the air and said something right away. He didn't. Why? Because that's his friend. So as much as we all like to say, you can't keep anything under wraps forever, not with the internet and social media, everything eventually gets out. Well, they proved you wrong. Because that didn't get out. Nobody has pictures. Nobody had video on X. Nobody had anything. That thing never even happened. And based on what I read earlier today, neither driver had a citation issued in the accident. What? In what world does that happen? It's that bad of an accident and nobody has a citation? Come on, man. So again, I give it to Shanahan, and I give it to the Niners. They figured out a way to get out of this without any damage being done to anybody's reputation one way or the other, and just it's crazy. Rather remarkable, but they pulled it off, so nicely done. I'm glad he's not dead.
Yeah, exactly. Getting away from some of the more serious stories, Curt Cignetti was on This Is Football with Kevin Clark, and he was discussing why he runs short practices compared to almost every other team in NCAA.
I think that started once I became a head coach. I learned a lot from a lot of different coaches, and I was with Coach Saban for 4 years, part of his original staff, so I learned a lot from him. But I've always been a little bit on the impatient side. I don't like people wasting my time, but I'm also very organized. And reps accumulate throughout the year through spring ball and fall camp. So how often do you have to practice hitting? Right, you got to develop the culture, the mindset, and the identity of your football team. And I try to keep guys fresh, and the better they feel physically, the better they're going to be mentally. And also, a lot of the early teams I had didn't have a lot of depth, where I couldn't absorb an injury, so that's what I had to do. It's worked, and now we still get our reps in, and once we hit the field, it's all business. But I don't like keeping them out there for 2.5 hours. We probably haven't had a 2-hour practice in 5 years.
That's a nice selling point to a recruit, don't you think? Don't you think that probably comes up? Hey, when you go and talk to whoever at the next school you're going to, ask how long their practices are, because ours are like an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. Haven't been 2 hours in like 5 years. Go ask those coaches how long those practices are. You don't think that plays with some of these guys?
And we just won a national championship.
That too.
So we did that on the short practices. You could come be a part of that. Yeah,
yep. And hit the transfer portal. Got another really good quarterback to come in and quarterback the team moving forward.
I guess I've never been to Indiana University, so I can't
Bloomington?
say. Yeah, Bloomington. I can't
Middle
say
of nowhere.
I don't know much about the nightlife, so you got to sell it on something else other than the atmosphere around the stadium. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's cool. I mean,
it's probably got a decent college town vibe around it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, if you talk to anybody that's gone to that school, they all love it. Like, I've never talked to somebody that went to Indiana.
Iowa is the same way.
Yeah, I've never talked to anybody that went to Indiana and was like, yeah, that sucked. Like, I didn't like the college atmosphere or experience at all. People love it. Absolutely love going to that school. So we'll see how that all plays out going forward there. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, Green and Gold update, Dan Orlovsky. He talked earlier today on First Take, plus some news from the shareholders meeting today from Ed Policy. We'll get into that too. And then at 4:20, Brandon Jennings doing a lot of chit-chatting on social media over the weekend about this Bucks team and how good he thinks they can be, which shocked many. We'll do that, and then things sparking this coming up at 4:40. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget, leadoff show tonight at 7:30, and then the Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show with the franchise, Tim Allen and myself, coming up tonight after the Brewers take on the Giants out in San Francisco.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie Usen producing today's show. Green and Gold update coming up momentarily. Did you find that Dan Orlovsky cut?
I did.
Yep. Dan Orlovsky coming up. We'll hear from him at 4 o'clock here. Potawatomi will bring you the Brandon Jennings topic. Oh, buddy. Brandon Jennings has a lot to say on social media this weekend about the Milwaukee Bucks. Stay tuned for that. Things that we missed on today's show coming up at 4:40. Packers setting press releases throughout the day as well. So without any further ado, let's go.
It's time for your Green and Gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, Green and Gold update time. Now we're getting real. Got the email today. Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst talking Wednesday morning. LaFleur talking Thursday. LaFleur talking Friday. Oh, buddy. Right back into
Jonathan Gannon
again. I've not seen Jonathan Gannon yet. We got
to figure out which coordinator we're going to like.
Well, we haven't even heard Gannon talk at all to the Packers media. Not a word.
He talked once, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, I think he had his introductory press conference.
Oh, I think you're right. And I said he's definitely not halfway. Yeah, I think you are.
Yeah, it wasn't that entertaining. No.
Maybe it was at OTAs or something.
Maybe like one of the wide receiver coach will be entertaining or something.
I don't know. Matt Schneidman from the Athletic Packer beat writer. According to the NFL Transaction Wire, the Packers placed the following players on the PUP and NFI list. Is that what it is? Am I reading that right?
Yeah,
I think that's right. PUP Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, so both Packers tight ends.
Non-football injury and illness list.
There you go. Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, Aaron Banks on the PUP list, Javon Hargrave on the PUP list, and Kamal Haddon, the corner on the PUP list. The NFI list is Chris Brooks. Shivett says Tucker Kraft on the PUP, which isn't a surprise after his week 9 torn ACL, but Zach Tom and Devontae White not on the PUP after their season-ending injuries. Micah Parsons will be on the PUP list tomorrow. It's a timing thing, according to Matt Schneidman. So that is the deal there. Good news on Zach Tom and Devontae White being good to go, though. That's positive.
Yeah, you got to be excited about that. Again, I think you had expectations for Kraft and Micah to be on that list to start the season, obviously Micah. But seeing those other guys get healthy, especially after both of them get paid. And that's really nice to see that they're going to start the season ready to go for this team and hopefully prove that those contracts were worthwhile.
Correct. And that's the biggest thing here. Some of the guys, they've had some tryouts today. I don't think it's worth really going over some of the tryouts necessarily at this point. Ed Policy today at the shareholders meeting said Bob Harlan's name will go right next to Ted Thompson's at halftime of the Packers' October 29th game against the Panthers. So Bob Harlan's name goes up.
Do you wish it was I guess the Panthers could be good at that point in the season. They finished the season pretty well last year, but a better game?
No, I don't care.
It doesn't matter to you at all?
Okay. This is how I would view it if I was them. If I was them, I'd view it I want a cupcake game. I want a game I know we can win.
You don't have to take extra time at halftime for
a
bigger game.
And you want it to be a good experience. You don't want to go there. The Packers get smacked around, and then they do the ceremony. Everybody just walks out mad and doesn't even care about Bob Harlan's name going up.
Yes, but why are you expecting to get smacked around? Why not? If it's Bears versus Packers, is a game that goes down to the wire, and the Packers win on the night that Bob Harlan's name is put up in the Ring of Honor. That'd be cool.
Could it happen? Sure. Would I take my chances on Carolina versus playing the Bears of the Lions? Yes, I would. Yes, I want to win.
Guarantee a win than maybe gambling on an awesome moment.
Yes, if the Badgers are doing something big, make it against Bowling Green or something where I know they got a chance to win, not against Notre Dame, the first game of the year.
That's lame. I don't know.
Not getting that at Lambeau. It's not at Camp Randall, so they wouldn't, but I'm just saying. Okay, some of the other stuff that was brought up during all of this. this idea, Ed Policy said that Omaha Productions, that's Manning's deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Omaha Productions is releasing a 6-episode documentary on the Packers coming up this winter.
All right. What is the focal point? Just
Don't
the
know.
Packers?
That's all that it
Try to
says.
do kind of a Hard Knocks behind the scenes of the front office. Do you think the Packers would allow that?
No. That's why I'm shocked by this whole idea of there being a documentary on the Packers.
Maybe it's like a history of the Packers type of thing. Peyton Manning going through the history of the Packers. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
Like
right. So you go
spotlight on
back
the
to
team.
Lombardi and you kind of go all the way through.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only thing that would fill a 6-episode series, unless it's a behind the scenes of part of an offseason, maybe of the draft. Maybe going through and setting up the draft, a 6-part series of the draft.
Who suggested
You
that?
said that.
Boy, I swear to you, if that's what it is, I am
calling Omaha Productions.
Somebody better pay me, man. I was saying that leading up to the draft for months that's what somebody should do. That would be cool. If that's what it is, if this goes back to the draft, Murphy making the pick of Matthew Golden and all of that, that would be pretty sweet. I'd be pretty down with that. If it's a 6-part documentary and we're just doing the same history lesson that we've all heard throughout our entire lives, then I don't think I'm as excited about it necessarily from a Packer fan standpoint. That doesn't mean, though, that it won't be hugely successful around the rest of the country, right? Around the rest of the country, people that don't know everything there is to know about the Packers like we do that live here in the state, they may like it and view it a lot. As a Packer fan, I'd like to learn stuff if I'm going to watch this 6-part. And if they're putting it out that Charlie and I are going to watch it, and then we will talk about it, just kind of like we do Hard Knocks, same type of deal. We'll do the same thing with this Packer documentary that they're going to put out.
Okay. So this is on theheavy.com talking about this being a 2-year in the making type of thing. From this article, it says it will really focus on the history and tradition of the Packers, Mark Murphy said, per Kendra Miner of the Green Bay Press Gazette. That was in 2024 when he was last asked about it.
But that should lead up to the draft.
It should. It might have that as kind of the main storyline that you follow, while it also goes through the history and tradition of the Packers, that probably is exactly what it's going to be. So they're going to have to, your thing, Sparky, maybe?
Maybe. Again, the whole Matthew Golden thing, it's just such a cool experience for Murphy, for the fans, all of that. It would be cool.
Well,
that was all documented, the whole idea of seeing Murphy's face when he gets the card and knows that it's a wide receiver. What is his initial reaction? Is it oh, bleep? And starts smiling from ear to ear when he sees the card. That type of stuff that we've never seen. That would be cool to see.
Do you think that draft would be worth an entire episode of this docuseries alone, where maybe that could be included in the history and tradition of the Packers that they're talking about here?
It's Murphy's last draft because he's done after that, right? So the passing of the torch kind of is happening at that draft with him and Ed Policy. So it's the closing of a chapter of a very big, important chapter in Packers history and Mark Murphy. So yeah, I would say that draft is a big deal. I would love to have had a camera in that Packer draft room when you hear the conversation of who's on the board and why they took Matthew Golden, all of that. And then hear conversation of what they think Murphy's reaction is going to be when he gets to read it. And then a camera in the draft room to see their reaction and hear their reaction when Murphy says what he says on TV and they're all watching it, in the draft room. That type of stuff. My goodness, that would be gold, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
absolute gold.
That would be pretty electric. I would be down for that.
That would be amazing.
But again, I don't know, top 6 moment in Packers history that'd be worth a whole episode in this docuseries.
Well, you think there's going to be a series dedicated to each big moment?
Maybe
so you're
not,
saying
but,
so
I'm just
the
saying,
Favre
if
Super
you got
Bowl
to
gets
focus
one?
on things, each episode has to kind of focus on one thing, right?
I don't know. I have no idea how they're going to do this. No clue. Couldn't tell you. That's why I'm curious to see what this is. Because, again, we've seen all the black and white footage. We've seen all the interviews with all the old Packer guys from back in the 60s and stuff. We've heard them all the stories, right? So are you really going to bring something new to the spotlight there? The Favre Packers and all of that? I'm sure there's still some stories.
Behind the scenes, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure there's still
Aaron
some.
Rodgers, Favre.
Yeah, there's probably some stories still untold. Maybe from the Favre Super Bowl team. that maybe could come out that you could talk to some of those guys about that year. The Rodgers Super Bowl team, I'm sure maybe there's something there with it. Like, I want to hear from Kuhn and Crosby. That's what I want to hear from. Like, now Mason's off tomorrow because he's in LA doing some shoot, but I would love to hear from John Kuhn. Like, are you in this thing? Like, did they interview you? Do you know what it's about? What can you tell us, John? That's, if I was Rami, that's what I would be asking John Kuhn tomorrow. Like, let's talk about this documentary. What can you tell us? What is this really all about? Did you talk on camera for any of this? That's what I'd want to know. And the same thing with Mason Crosby. Now, Crosby a little bit different because obviously he's in Tennessee. So he's not even really around the team per se as much. So probably harder for Crosby to be involved. But I could definitely see John Kuhn being involved. You'd have to think Wayne Larrivee is involved for this documentary as well. And Larrivee's on tomorrow with Kuhn on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, that would all make sense to me.
I think so. Yeah, I think you could really make this work. 4-4 on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line. 414-677-1250 says, Sparky, let's be real. Playing the Bears will be a guarantee to win.
No, I'm not doing that.
Come on, bite, Sparky.
You can do that 414 because you don't have my power. I have a secret power that guarantees you it will not go that way.
I think I might.
So I'm not touching that.
I think it's your power's rubbing off a little bit. I was doing some extra stuff. We were going to a barbecue on Sunday after I got home from work and stuff. And I was paying attention to the Brewers score and everything. And Jacob Mizorowski was through 4.1. And I was like, oh, he's got 12 strikeouts. I was telling Beth about it, my girlfriend. I was so excited. And he gave up a home run on the next at bat. I felt my phone buzz. I was like, oh, that's so bogus.
While that happened, I had texted my buddies, and I was like, there's no way they're letting him finish this. Like, he's already at 60-some pitches. There's just no way. Not saying it was a no or perfect game, but I just said they're not going to let him finish this no matter what he does. And then, boom, home run. There it goes. I'm like, oh, there. Now we don't have to argue
so I can
about
blame it on you instead.
Sure. But I'm sure we weren't the only ones bringing that up, because at that point you're thinking to yourself, no, perfect game. But if you're looking at his pitch count, you're like, no chance Pat Murphy's letting him go to 120 or something crazy.
I mean, if he's got a perfect game, you got to let him go, right? You don't do a piggyback perfect game. No way.
There's no
hitters.
chance.
Sure, fine, but you don't do a perfect game.
I'm telling you, there's no chance they were going to let him do that.
Oh, Pat Murphy would get flamed.
Tell you
by every Brewers fan if he did that, man.
Zero chance they were going to let him do that. All right.
See Luis Rengifo had another home run for the Dodgers, by the way. Awesome.
I did. He is on fire. Yes, he is. Dan Orlovsky, we were supposed to be talking about the Packers here. Great and Gold update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Dan Orlovsky, former NFL quarterback on ESPN, of course, still has his job, unlike some others. On First Take today, talking about who he expects to win the NFC North. Might be that team from Green Bay.
One, I think that the addition of Jonathan Gannon, who takes over for Jeff Hafley, obviously going to Miami to be the head coach. Jonathan Gannon, I think, is a fantastic defensive mind. So that Micah's health, being a draft pick, would help that secondary. I think this pass game last year was just as explosive as just about anybody. Maybe the Rams and the Patriots set in Seattle the explosive benchmark, but I thought it was phenomenal. Even with some of the injuries that they dealt with, Tucker Kraft, their tight end, gets hurt. He's phenomenal. That guy that we see on our screen, Christian Watson's got to stay healthy. Golden's got to take a step forward with the loss of Romeo Dobbs. Jacobs is the best back we don't talk about enough. So I just think it's a very good football team. I think the quarterback is an absolute stud. Head coach has got a lot of pressure on him. I think the world of him. There's question marks for some of those other teams in that division that I still don't feel as reliable. And I think that Green Bay is a little bit more proven.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day, everybody. We'll see you on the way out. Dan Orlovsky. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, we have people picking the Packers dead last in this division. And there's Dan Orlovsky. I'm telling you, he is a former Lion, and I understand that he's a Packer guy. He's definitely has been a Jordan Love guy since they drafted him. So I love when he talks about the Packers, because very rarely is he ever really critical of them, because he just loves everything they do. Mina Kimes, Packer girl, all about the Packers, hardly ever critical of what they do. Kay Adams
she
loves
was trying
the
to stoke
Packers.
the fire with Caleb Williams today because he was on her show, and she brought up, who's in the
Why
driver's
would he go on Kay Adams' show for? Does he not know
I think it was promoting Madden.
her love of Jordan Love and the
they
Packers?
had him labeled as EA Madden 27 cover athlete and stuff, so I
gotcha.
think it was a promo tour for the most part.
Right, yep.
But he was on there. She's like, who's in the driver's seat of the Packers-Bears rivalry? And he just goes, well, I always think I'm in the driver's seat of every game. And he just completely sidesteps the whole question.
He's not stupid. He ain't playing that
exactly.
game. No, you're not. You go on that show as a Bear, you better know what you're getting yourself into because she is green and gold through and through as Kay
I
Adams.
was kind of expecting him to bite a little bit and be like, yeah, we all know we won the last 2 games. I'm gonna throw in the cheese grater again.
Yep.
We're in the driver's seat, man. And he didn't. He was like,
He
just every game I go in with that mindset. Lame.
He absolutely could have. His coach would have. If that would have been Ben Johnson, he would have went all the way in. Well, who won the last 2 games, Kay? Was it us?
Because he's also not on the cover of Madden trying to do promo for Madden for the most part.
So maybe he was told, hey, let's not start crap here.
Just start saying how cool you are personally. We don't need to be doing other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. So that was another good thing I wanted to highlight here today. All right, take a quick time out, come back. On the other side, Potawatomi Sportsbook is a great place. 2,000 square feet. You have a full kitchen at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, right? You have an all-day brunch, includes steak and eggs, pancakes, whatever the case may be. Over 40 different beers on tap. Over a dozen different specialty cocktails. 2 levels of seating. High top tables, big booths, like 8 people in them. Leather recliner chairs, big puffy recliner chairs. It is comfort at its finest. Then a 2,000 square foot screen, over 30 different sporting events at the same time you can watch. Are you big UFC guy? They have the UFC fights on. They turn the sound way up if you want to go watch UFC fight over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Shuttles to and from Brewers home games as well. Just got to make a $5 wager inside the sportsbook that day, and you're good to go. Just ask for your bracelet when you tell them you're going on the shuttle, and you're all set. Check them out today. Go to Potawatomi.com. Again, Potawatomi.com. Brandon Jennings, I don't think you can run your mouth technically on X, so maybe running his fingers on X. Would that be the correct term?
Twitter fingers are going. That's what they used to say. So your X fingers
whatever.
are going, I guess.
He was busy talking about the Bucks this week, and we'll talk about that straight ahead. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Sparky, Charlie Usen, other side of the glass. Don't forget, leadoff show comes up this evening, 7:30 before Brewers and Giants. First pitch about 8:45. Then we'll have the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show with Tim Allen and myself tonight. It's scheduled for midnight to 1 a.m. The game gets done before that. Obviously, we'll get on a little bit before that, but midnight to 1 a.m. So we're definitely on to 1 o'clock. That much I can tell you. If the game goes longer, then we may be on longer than 1 o'clock, depending on how the thing plays out. But we will be on tonight, late night, after Brewers and Giants in San Francisco. I mentioned earlier that Brandon Jennings, Bucks and Six guy, was pretty vocal on X over the weekend about the Bucks. And this all started because Jennings said something like Celtics best player left. They cooked over there, and the Cavs crying, laughing emoji, and going back and forth with different people. Talking about Bron winning a ring in Philly. I don't want to hear anything if he goes and wins a ring in Philly. This other dude says, my brother, they might not get past the Celtics or Cavs, LOL. Then somebody responds to Jennings and says, only team cooked is the Bucks. Jennings says, how? I still don't think the Miami Heat is a better team than the Bucks are right now at this point. When I saw that, I was like, whoa. Okay, well, Brandon Jennings has had about enough of all this and is now putting the Bucks in front of the Miami Heat as well. Then later, after he does that, he comes back and says, I believe the Bucks make the playoffs this year. None of this has anything to do with 34. I'm looking at the Bucks team in the East. Bucks are going to be all right, says Brandon Jennings yesterday. This started on Saturday and went through yesterday and has been ongoing all weekend with Brandon Jennings against the world on social media. And as a Bucks fan, I was like, whoa, looky here. This is pretty good. I'm enjoying watching Brandon Jennings fight with other teams' fans. This is good.
Are you enjoying it like watching like a fire go on the side of the highway? Because like, I don't know, this isn't like, oh yeah, I'm buying in with Brandon Jennings. I'm excited to watch the Bucks and see what will happen, but I'm not going out there and saying that they're better than the Miami Heat right now.
So this is the thing about the Miami Heat. They're an injury away from being a lottery team.
Mm-hmm.
Literally one injury. That roster sucks. Outside of Giannis and Bam, they are not good. That is not a good roster. They are not a deep roster. None of that, because they gutted the depth by trading it to Milwaukee at this point, right? Now, could they add DeRozan? Yes. Could they add Zach LaVine? One or the other, not both. Yes, they could add both. Well, LaVine specifically has been a loser his entire career. Everywhere he goes, they lose. So I'm not really sure what good that's going to do. You bring in Zach LaVine in. DeMar DeRozan is not getting old, is not getting younger by the day, right? He came in right around the same time as Jennings. So this is an older cat coming in at the end like Giannis. Last I heard, Giannis wanted to compete for a ring, but with younger athletic guys. So he wasn't necessarily going to have to do anything. The way this sits right now in Miami, he's got to do it all. And Bam will pick up the pieces as the two. But it's going to have to be
Bam
Giannis.
Scored 83 points a game. He can take control.
I know,
He's
Bam.
going to be a number one option. Giannis is going to be number two. All right.
And Bam will probably say the exact same dumb thing that you just said at the end of the day. So this is the question that I have. So Jennings thinks the Bucks are a playoff team and are better than the Heat. Do you agree with Brandon Jennings? Nikolay Lautaka text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. I have been paying attention to this Nuggets thing. And OKC try to get one of their players as a restricted free agent. The Nuggets matched. So now they're in the second apron. Now they're stuck. So now, in order to get themselves off of that, they've got to get rid of some salary and do some stuff. There is two thoughts. One, Watson, who we've been talking about with the Nuggets, wing player, now could definitely be destined for the Milwaukee Bucks. The problem is, not for the Bucks, but for Denver, they're not going to get anything back. So now it could just be a trade. Here you go. He's yours, just to get off of that number. Cam Johnson. who's at like 17-7, 17-8 this year, last year of his deal. That could be another deal where it could be Cam Johnson and 1 maybe to Milwaukee so they can get off of that number and help out with their luxury tax situation and maybe put them in a position to sign Watson at the end of the day. The Bucks could really come out of this looking pretty good without really having to give up any assets at all based on the Nuggets now getting locked into that second apron. I think that Cam Johnson and the Bucks probably make some sense right now if you can get them for nothing and make them throw a pick on top of it, because there's not a lot of teams that can absorb that contract right now without having to give something up. So the Bucks can do it. And if that happens, now you add another quality basketball player to this team.
Well, with the changes to the draft lottery, it might be a better idea to take a gamble on a team like the Nuggets, who also, like the Miami Heat, are kind of one injury away from being pretty close to being a lottery team. If Nikola Jokic, a guy who is not getting any younger, spends more time on the injured list or on the injury reserve this season than he ever has in his entire career. Last season, he started getting hurt a little bit more than you've seen him before. This is a good gamble to take. If you can get a draft pick from a team that has really no other options but to start selling players away in order to keep them afloat, in order to keep Nikola Jokic on that roster, that's the team to gamble on, because they also won't have any restrictions on their pick because they haven't been at the bottom of a draft in a long time, or the top of the draft in a long time.
The other part about this, you don't have a first round pick in 27. You need to get your hands on a first round pick in 27. Like, that's something that they've got to figure out how to get that, whether it's this way, whether it's a Miles Turner deal, a Kuzma deal. You've got to figure out a way to get your hands on a number 1 pick to add to this young core going forward.
The Nuggets don't have a first round pick until 2028. They have that one. They trade their 2027 to OKC.
Of course they did. Boy, OKC's just having a good old time with these boys, aren't they? Yeah. So, okay. So it's 2028. That's fine. Then you take the 1 with that, but you still have to figure out a way to get a 1 in 27, if nothing else, because that's something in my mind, you have to continue to add young players to this core as you continue to develop. I would guess, maybe I'll be wrong, in 3 years, half this roster will be gone at least, and it will be completely changed over again. So you have to continue to bring young guys in and rotate through this roster until you find the guys that you want to roll with, who then become your core. Obviously, the guess is Burries is a core guy. Ament hopefully becomes a core guy. I know some of you want Ryan Rollins to be a core guy, and maybe that's the way that this ends up happening. But that's the thing I think that Taylor Jenkins and John Horst have to figure out first over the next 2 or 3 years. Remember, Jenkins has, a 6-year deal. Over the next 2 to 3 years, they have to figure out, okay, who are our core 3 to 5 players that we're going to build around for the next 7 to 10 years? Like, who are those guys that are going to help us move forward with this organization, getting back to the point where, you're regularly around 50 wins every year with a chance to do something in the playoffs. And if you don't have first round picks to add into this mix, that becomes harder to kind of rotate guys through. The Bucks are going to have all this money come next summer. We went through the list, a bunch of old dudes. Like, I just don't know if you jump in and go spend right away, or if you just keep that nest egg of money and continue to play at the bottom with payroll and wait to spend that money until it's time to pay Burries, until it's time to pay Ament, and then you start spending that money again. OKC really didn't go crazy spending money necessarily. I mean, they got Paul George, I guess. They got Chris Paul. But those were like bridges to get them to where they wanted to be at the end of the day. And the Paul George one,
was a
different
for it type of move.
But that was a difference maker because they got SGA in that deal that helped them go forward. That's how they got SGA, was by going and getting Paul George earlier.
But when they initially got Paul George, that was a go for it type of move. And then Chris Paul was taking on that salary. They ended up being better than they expected to be. I think they were also playing in a time where the Golden State Warriors were still pretty high up in their overall take on the league, and LeBron still had some sway in the league, and those teams were still trying to match up to those squads. I think in the modern NBA right now, the Milwaukee Bucks, there's a lot more parity across the NBA in general. And it's a lot more open for this team to be able to take that step quicker, because a lot of other teams have started to take that step quicker. I think if you're looking at the players that you want to be a part of this franchise long-term or a part of that core like we're talking about, I think you can start making that decision a little bit earlier and make decisions quicker and say, hey, if this guy isn't working out right away, let's move on and start finding other players. Let's start trading. Let's get more picks. Let's build up what could possibly be the core eventually. And I think that's an exciting route for the Milwaukee Bucks to take, that you don't have to wait 3 years to say, oh, this guy isn't ready. You can wait a year and say, you know what, let's move on. Let's try to figure something out, because we can, if we find the right type of player, the right type of guy that can come in and be a star right away, that we can take that gamble and take that jump quicker than years past.
From the 414, they won 32 games last year with Giannis playing 36 games. Just the players added from Miami, they will at least win that many games. I think it's a great point, pointing out that Giannis didn't play all that much last year to begin with, really, at the end of the day. Let's see here. Another one from the 414. Miami is a better team as long as Giannis is playing. Let's not disrespect what he did here, but he hasn't proven that he can stay healthy for the last 3 to 4 years. If he gets hurt, they're cooked. Bucks will be better than people think, but a playoff team, probably not. But with the play-in tournament, it is possible. Berries is a future top 20 player from the 414.
We saw one summer league, guys. I'm excited too. It was fun to watch.
Looks good.
He was on that summer league first team. That was really cool to see. Let's see it happen through a season, maybe a couple seasons if he has a good rookie season. Let's see what happens still. Like, I don't know if I'm saying he's top 20 yet.
I want to see how they use him. If he's going to run the offense, if he is going to be that point guard. Because Brian Butch, remember, go back on draft night, Brian Butch called him the point guard all night. I was like, he's not going to be a point guard. He's going to be the shooting guard. Ryan Rollins is running point. What are we talking about? But then we get to the summer league, and he's running the offense. So I just wonder how they're going to play this. I mean, they could play both of them in the backcourt, but John Horst continues to say they want to be plus size at the different positions. They want to be long. So 6'3" point guard, that's long for a point guard. So if he is, as one guy pointed out, Jamal Murray, if that's who he is as that point guard, now all of a sudden Ryan Rollins, in my opinion, now becomes expendable at that point. Because now if you're looking at, I wanted to be bigger at every position, then that shooting guard is going to be 6'6", somewhere in that area at that shooting guard position. That is not Ryan Rollins if that's the route they decide to take.
Well, and Ryan Rollins and KPJ should probably be expendable in the first place. If some team comes and offers you the right amount of package with picks, that you should probably take that for either of those guys. I don't think either of them should be long-term options for you right now, as long as you're getting the right kind of value out of any kind of trade that you make with them.
Mark in Eagle says, as currently constructed, you could make the argument that the Bucks are better than the Heat. Bam may be the most overrated player in the league. Yeah, I'm not a big Bam guy either. I don't know if I'd say he's the most overrated player in the league, but I'm definitely not a big Bam Adebayo fan where I'm like, oh my God, that's the ultimate number 2 to Giannis. They're going to be unstoppable. Like, I'm
most points in an NBA game ever.
Yeah. 83.
Most documented points in a game ever.
Yep, and we made fun of him for it, if I remember correctly on this show. From the 414, Cam Johnson is trash. He averaged 12 points and 3.8 rebounds last year, and he's soft. Understood. But you have to go back and look at Cam Johnson with the Suns, go back and look at Cam Johnson with the Nets prior to being on a team with Joker and Jamal Murray and the other guys on this roster, right? I mean, he was the guy kind of with the Nets there for a little while, and he was that guy that was developing with the Suns. If he comes to Milwaukee, again, expiring deal, right? So now you have Hero on an expiring, Kuzma on an expiring, Cam Johnson on an expiring, still stuck with Miles Turner. But those are 3 big contracts, plus Jaquez, however you say his name. Yeah, he also is on expiring. So you got 4 guys on expiring contracts making decent money that you could potentially move 4 picks at the trade deadline.
You do. I just think with Cam Johnson, I get the worry when you go and play with Nikola Jokic, a lot of guys in the past that have been in situations where they should have been the number 1 option elsewhere and didn't perform. Aaron Gordon is the main one in my mind in Orlando when he was playing there, and they gave him a couple opportunities to kind of take the lead over Nikola Vucevic, and he just never was able to really do that until they just forced Vucevic out there, gave him that last year, and then decided to move on from him. He goes to Denver and plays really well with Nikola Jokic and finds a way to elevate his game a little bit. Michael Porter Jr., I think, was a player that a lot of people thought was playing above his ceiling because he was playing with Nikola Jokic, and he goes to Brooklyn, doesn't play a whole lot, gets injured, but either way, he's not really handling the situation all that well. Cam Johnson was in a spot in Brooklyn where he was kind of towards the end, not handling that situation well, comes to Denver and doesn't improve his game, unlike everybody else. He just kind of falls in line with the other players. I think that's what's worrisome a little bit.
Cam Johnson in 24-25 averaged 18 points, 47% from the field, 39% from three, 89% from the free throw line. So 18.8 points a game, 4.3 rebounds, 3.4 assists, almost a steal game, half a block per game for Cam Johnson. That's in 31 and a half minutes. If he puts up that stat line in Milwaukee, I think you're very happy with that. And you would take that every day of the week, right? Last year with the Nuggets, 12.2 points per game, 48% from the field. So that went up from the Nets. 43% from three. That went up 4 percentage points. Free throw declined from 89 to about 84. Rebounds and assists declined by half a rebound and 1 full assist from that perspective. But again, overall, his numbers look relatively the same. I just don't think he clearly wasn't getting as many shots. He shot better than he did with Brooklyn and averaged 6 less points because you have other players on that team that were taking shots. Right now, currently on this Bucks team, it's Tyler Hero, and we have no idea after that who else is taking shots on this team. I don't want Khalil Ware taking 15 to 20 shots a game. Hell
Jericho
no.
Sims, I think, will take at least.
Did you see that video? Did you see that video on social media?
What video?
Oh. I don't know. I don't know where he was playing. He's playing somewhere, doing something. And it was 5-on-5, whatever else. And they're showing him dunking and dropping the ball off the bat. No jump shots. Everything is around the rim. Throw it down.
Next to DeAndre Jordan right there, man. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. I love it.
Bucks fans like losing their mind. Oh, he's in beast mode. He's in beast mode. Watch out.
When they trade Miles Turner, he's taking over.
Oh, my God. Stop it. From the 715, hey, should the Brewers consider picking up Jameson Taillon if he clears waivers? That's from Chris. They just DFA'd him. Wonders if the Brewers will give him a whirl like they did with McCullers. Cubs fan Charlie, what say you on Jameson Taillon?
He's been not good this season at all. I just went to go double check his stats, but I knew he was not playing well. He has a negative 0.9 WAR on the season as a starting pitcher. That's not good. 2-6, 5.92 ERA in 15 games started so far this season. A 1.355 WHIP. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. He's 34. Nothing's changing.
He's old.
Yeah, nothing's changing.
He's old. Yeah, but boy, wouldn't that be funny if you get Taillon and he beats the Cubs in the playoffs? Oof.
Or you get Taillon, start him 2 games,
and then you cut him.
Awful, and then you cut him.
But it doesn't cost you anything, right?
I guess, but what's the point of wasting time with that?
Low risk, high reward. If it works out, if you could fix him, great.
Try trading some players first and get a guy that you think will actually be good versus just playing a garbage guy. Just
well, somebody's going to pick Taillon up. He's not going to go home.
Probably, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be a situation where he's going to last longer than 2 weeks, probably, unless he's Luis Rengifo and starts playing well. So
you're probably right about that. Hey, Fake Sparky Miss coming up next. Don't forget, Plead the Fifth on Fridays at 4:20. Brought to you by Habish and Rotier, national reputation, hometown service. They've been doing this since 1930. They're really good. They've had all kinds of different lawyers come through, right, and be a part of what they do. They've expanded from just one office to 13 offices across the state of Wisconsin. If you're listening to The Game in Wausau, they're there. If you're listening to The Fan in Madison, they're there. If you're listening to the WNFL Flamethrower in the Fox Valley, Green Bay, and Appleton, they're there as well. Yes, they are. And they are there for you, helping injured Wisconsinites for almost 100 years. And when you get involved in a car accident, it's very, very scary. When it's a bad car accident where you're going to Habish and Rotier, scary stuff. Because hospital bills, doctor bills, trying to figure out your car situation, what that's going to be like. You're not going to sleep all that much. You're going to be freaking out a little bit. I went through all of that when I was involved in my bad one. What was it? Over a decade ago, I guess it's been. That is something that I have firsthand knowledge of and know what it's all about. The stress levels are through the roof. You have to be in a situation where you go to someone that you know you can trust and you know that that person or group of people will do the best for you. That's who these people are. Habush, and Rotier. Check them out today. National reputation, hometown service. Check them out at Habush.com. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen over there. Wendy's, baby, if you're thinking about what am I going to do for dinner, what's the options that we have? About score a free Wendy's Frosty Classic this summer when the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, proud high A affiliate of the Milwaukee Brewers, record 10 strikeouts in a game. You can go to any Wisconsin Wendy's and get a free small Frosty Classic. Follow the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers on X or Instagram as they post after every game with 10 strikeouts. This offer is good for 24 hours following the game. How about that? The Timber Rattlers and Wendy's hooking up on a deal, Charlie.
Oh, that's a great deal. I mean, you might as well go and get a free Frosty because that team just keeps winning all the time.
Yes, that's an awesome deal for sure. All right, it is that time. Wrapping up the show. Let's get to it.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now.
All right, things that we missed on today's show. As we talked about earlier, not tomorrow, but Wednesday, you'll hear Goody and Matt LaFleur both addressing the media on Wednesday. And then we get to, Matt LaFleur pressers every day, hearing from the players every day after the training camp practices are done. And just like that, we're officially into Packers season, but there's still Brewers season left to be had until this whole thing is said and done. So the leadoff show comes up tonight at 7:30. I'll be hosting that. And then after the last pitch, you make the switch to the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show. That's tonight until 1 a.m. We're on the air. Tim Allen and myself tonight. And we'll do the whole thing all over again tomorrow night in the same fashion again tomorrow night. Then it's a late afternoon game. I want to say it's like a 2:45 start potentially on Wednesday for the Milwaukee Brewers. So that'll be a little bit earlier of a day. We'll have the leadoff show at 2 o'clock on Wednesday and then post-game show after that one. Charlie, I don't think I ever got to you. How was the weekend? I know you attempted to go to a barbecue.
I did. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was nice. It was warm out, but my sister's house has some nice shade, so we were still able to be outside. I saw UConn Saturday. That was really good. That was really fun to see. I went with my dad, so that was a really cool experience. The entire theater.
Was it a full theater?
Yes. Whole place was filled. Every theater that we looked at, because we wanted to go see it somewhere maybe a little bit closer to one of us. We ended up seeing it in Brookfield, but every theater was sold out that it was in.
That's good.
Expected to get maybe
extended.
that second run.
Yeah, you only get a week. It's this week. So hurry up, because if they don't extend it, it's going to come and go, and then that's going to be the end of it. One other thing I want to make sure to bring up, Brewers draftee Aiden Knack, who they drafted out of Clemson, the Brewers, in the 5th round, apparently is going back to Clemson and is not going to pitch for the Brewers. That is very unusual in the 5th round not to get a guy signed. His father announced it. AK has decided to return to Clemson for his senior season. He has made significant changes to his mechanics and is excited for the opportunity to return and compete again at the highest level. Now, as a parent, I will say this. I want to see where he gets drafted next year. Mm-hmm. I want to see where he gets drafted.
It's going to be higher. That's the only reason you do that, right?
You start making wholesale changes. That's you telling your kid, look, you can be a 1st or 2nd round pick next year and make way more money than what you're going to make here in the 5th round from the Brewers. So I think you go back and do it one more time.
He last season was 2-6 with a 5.81 ERA, 57 innings pitched. He had during that time 23 walks. That's crazy. 13.8 strikeouts per 9. He was not very good last season, so the Brewers must have thought he was pretty good to draft him in the 5th round.
13.8 strikeouts per 9?
Yeah.
That's what they saw. Yeah, that's what they saw.
He sees that too.
Also, Spencer Steer, one of the hitters potentially on the market from the Reds, he's going on the injury list today after suffering a hand-wrist injury yesterday and will miss significant time. So you can take his name away from the trade deadline as well. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up comes up next, and then the leadoff show at 7:30. That'll do it for us. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Tim Dillard's good for tomorrow, correct? Tim Dillard tomorrow at 2:20. Toodles, Wisconsin.